Just let it shut. Yep.
Hey, Alex Keys is here. Welcome to the 44th episode of Speedify Live and to the new Speedify Intergalactic headquarters. I'm going to walk you around. I'm going to show you both in detail our live streaming setup, which is what we're on right now, and then we're going to end the tour with hitting the new Speedify Live Studio, where you can see all the crazy cameras. I know a lot of people have had questions about what those wacky lights are behind me, and you're going to find out. So we are live here. So if you have any questions, when I reach the studio, I will be able to see them and I will answer them. So, you go ahead and post them or hold on till I get there and post them. So, our live streaming setup. It consists of a couple things. One, iPhone 12 Pro with the 3 cameras as the streaming device. So, iPhone Pro does pretty good video. But there are a couple problems, right? One is, getting a good enough internet connection, and the other is, cell phones, you get that shaky, low quality video, right? So we have solutions to both those things that we put together for those live streams we did with Christmas lights. I'd like to share it with you. So the first thing, of course, is Speedify itself. There's some screen captures for those who haven't seen it. This is our app. It runs in the background on your phone, Android, iOS, or your computer, Mac, PC, even Linux. And you can put it on one of these wacky little Raspberry Pi devices. And it lets your computer actually use all the internet connections you have together. So, for our live streams, saw the Christmas lights where we walked through City Hall there. We at the same time. Of course, first one was the AT&T cellular built into my iPhone. But where did I get the second cellular connection? And the answer is I used the Wi-Fi to join the hotspot on another iPhone that was in my hand where I saw the comments. And that got it onto Verizon. So one cell phone, thanks to Speedify, on both AT&T and Verizon at the same time. And that's how we got such a reliable internet connection. We've been building all sorts of stuff into Speedify. I think you guys just saw the test run, like we got that live streaming test. And before you go live, you're not sure the internet's good enough. Go on Speedify, run the live test, and it'll tell you, your internet's good enough to do a 2K video, a 4K video, 720p video. Oh no, there's a problem. Don't go live, right? We fix all the problems we can. If there's no internet, Speedify will tell you it's time to go find another spot. So the second problem is the quality of the video itself, right? Anytime you're dealing, you've seen you walk around with a phone, you take a video, it's shaky, it's blurry. The secret, come in here. This is Ryan, so hashtag good job Ryan. Go ahead and post that everywhere. Is you need to stabilize the video. So here we're using a gimbal. It's a DJI Osmo 3 mobile gimbal. So you see he can move the handle all around. And if you were, if he was holding the iPhone in his hand, you'd have this shaky, blurry video. But it really holds the camera still. And that's why, you're able to get such stable video. And everything looks much better, right? So all these digital video technologies, compression and stuff, they work. They only have so many bits, and they encode what's different from frame to frame. So the more the camera shakes, the lower resolution they are. If the camera shakes less, it's not only less shaky, it's higher resolution video, because that same number of bits gets you more detail, since there are less changes frame to frame.
Right.
Technical detail, but it's actually a really big deal. So we'll start heading towards the studio. So another nice thing about the Osmo is it gives you, motorized smooth pan and tilt, so you can kind of look around and see. We've got a nice view of Philadelphia here. You can see all the skyscrapers that way. In the other direction, we can see the Ben Franklin Bridge. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. A few reflections in the window. Phone booths for people who want to make calls. My office over there. We actually downsized. We used to have over 5,000 square feet, but most people are working from home most of the time now, so we're down to 3,000. But it's fine because it's nice. Look at this kitchen. Try to decide what kind of stool we want. That's why we have mismatched stools. Surprising how much people can get about things like that. But yeah, lovely kitchen. Let me show the conference room before we bob into our final destination. Check it out. Whiteboard table. So we can, right on the table. Yay! So that's kind of cool. Smart TV, so we just project from our Macs, PCs, iPhones, whatever. They'll just go straight to the TV. And yeah. So this is our office. Now the final, most exciting room is the studio. Let's make sure we don't make a mistake and join the audio twice here.
Right.
Feedback. All right. All right, so are you seeing us here in both places? Yeah, there we are. Multiple cameras. So here on the left, this is still the mobile view of the studio. And the view on the right is from the studio camera. So this is where I was presenting from, with the lights in the background, which are a little bit more conservative than they were the other day. All right, so now is where I'm going to have to start sucking Ryan in to explain the studio setup. I'll start with the basics. There are a few things I can tell you. One, Mac Mini. Tilt down a little. There we go. Underneath the microphone, we have a Mac Mini. This is the brains of the studio. It's one of those new M1s. Surprisingly reasonable, bloody fast. Hanging off it, we have connected by USB the Blue Yeti mic. Really good audio quality, and it looks kind of impressive, right? I think it's important that you actually capture your microphone in the stream, right?
We are not using it right now.
Right. The second we're not using it, right? You're right. So one thing I left out of the mobile setup is we use the Rode wireless Go mics. Got it just clipped to my t-shirt here. You zoom in like that, it looks bad, but normally it's connected to my shirt collar, but I'm not wearing a shirt collar. So that's going right to the iPhone, and so that works great. Now, what's the camera here? We experimented with all sorts of cameras, right? We had USB webcams, we had DSLRs. What we have settled on is an iPhone 12. It's a Pro, the 3 cameras. and we run Camo on it. Camo is an excellent app. We actually learned about it at that eCam conference where I spoke. It turns an iPhone into a USB webcam. And in the app on the Mac, you have all the options. You can control the tilt, you know, the brightness, the color balance, all of those advanced things that you can do with an iPhone camera that they expose right on the Mac, so you can do it. So we can zoom in and out and things. I could put some settings here just to give you a sense. So this is the normal wide, but we can go, you know, telephoto and zoom in on Alex, or we can change to the wide lens. And you get to see Ryan, although we're all strangely distorted in the wide lens. Seems like I have a 8-foot long arm. And yeah, so don't like the ultra wide lens. We'll go back to the regular wide.
Do we have any chat yet?
Do we have any chat? Oh, people are chatting. I'm sorry. I'm just starting to see your chat. Uh-oh. Alex, can you guys hear me? Somebody post a comment. I see Tech in the City saying that my mic, I can clearly hear the voice from the phone. All right. Need more moving parts. Pads? I don't know. All right. What else are we saying? I don't think those Rode mics work. Sounds like you're speaking directly into the phone's mic. Ah. Doesn't sound right. All right. We can hear you. All right. People think I am not going through the Rode mic.
Interesting.
That's interesting. It is turned on. The little control thing on the side of the camera is showing bars as I talk. All right. Well, it sounds like you can hear me, so we are gonna.
Do you want to try this one?
Is this any better? Now I'm in stereo. All right. Is that better? Do you guys hear me now? Hello, hello, hello. Somebody post a comment. All right. But I can hear Ryan much better when he chuckles. Uh-oh. Yeah, maybe it is coming off the phone. That's weird. Well, I'm gonna plunge ahead. Like I said, you guys can hear me. So, where was I? We talked about the Yeti. We talked about Camo. Yeah, learned about that at the eCam conference. They were another sponsor, and took me a while to finally try their stuff, but it really is fantastic. All right, lights. People keep asking what these crazy lights behind me are. Fine, you want to zoom in on them?
Yep.
What are they? I don't even know.
They are the Gowee H6076 LED floor lamps.
H6076 LEDs. So, can you show? Oh, you can't, because you're. So there's. It's an iPhone app.
Yeah.
Yes, they come with an iPhone app.
The Gowee Home app.
The Gowee Home app, which lets us pick the lighting pattern. So right now it's sort of conservative, but it's got other ones where it reacts to your voice, and the lighting changes based on your voice. We've been using one for the last couple days, which was pretty aggressively just cycling through colors. So the background was changing pretty fast behind me. We probably got carried away with it, but all right. What are these overhead lights?
These are Neewer 18-inch lights.
The sun.
They're actually at the lowest brightness right now.
Playing the role that once upon a time, right? Was it Fresnel? We would use Fresnel lights back in the 80s and 90s when I did lighting. But now they're just giant LED panels because you don't need lenses at all. You have enough LEDs. All right, can we switch to the studio mic? Yes. All right. So I think we just
go to the settings.
So mute this, right? Yeah, mute this one. Yeah, mute this one. How's that? Now do you guys hear me better? This should be coming through this thing. All right. There you go. All right. We are on the studio mic now. So this is a Yeti Blue. Yeah, that's a fantastic microphone. That's the one I was using from home. I had it sort of hanging over my head before. Yeah, great little mic. All right, what else to explain? We are on a standing desk, so we can adjust the height by cranking the handle, which I will not do while we're live. Everything will shake terribly. What other gadgets do we have? All right, so we've got one of these mini tripods that we added to the bottom. So it gives the feet. The feet don't come on the Osmo, right? The Osmo gimbal, it's just a handle. But it's got the standard, 1/4-inch screw from the top of a tripod on it. So you can stick all sorts of accessories on it, including a very tiny tripod. Or you can mount it on a real tripod if you want. All right. Ulanzi. So I don't think we've actually used it yet, but he's got mounted on the bottom of it. We've got if we're out at night, we have an extra light on the gimbal. I don't know if us ever turning it on. Oh, there you go. Now it has been turned on.
It's good for if we're doing IRL streams outside at nighttime. So
right. Next gadget, which we had high hopes for, is an Anker wireless charger for the iPhone. You can just slap this on the back of an iPhone and it charges it, and it doesn't even need to connect to the lightning port, which is fantastic because the Rode mics plug into the lightning ports. You can't get it to charge. The problem is this ends up making the phone too heavy for the Osmo. So kind of painful. So it leads us to a couple more tips. When you are mobile, turn down your display brightness. Number one tip. At maximum brightness, we could film for 45 minutes. At minimum brightness, at minimum brightness, at an hour and a half, we still had battery. I don't need these mics at all anymore. Take them off. They look ridiculous. So that's the big tip. The second tip is do not disturb. Make sure you put your phone on do not disturb. And I'll say, kind of cool thing. I've not been a fan of Siri because it fails me every single time I need it. But we've been, putting our phones to do not disturb before we stream, every Tuesday and Thursday. Tonight, 10 minutes before we went live, Siri popped up on my phone and said, do you want to turn on do not disturb? You usually do it this time. So I thought that was crazy. I clicked yes and it did it. So artificial intelligence for a rare win. There goes the stereo mic source.
oh man, were they still on?
Can you guys? All right. He just turned it off. Okay. I should have been muted. I don't know. All very confusing. Oh, that's a joke. Don't mess with me. I'm stressed enough here, people. So yeah, we are live. The two Rode mics. Yeah. So it should have been coming into the phone as stereo audio. I don't know if it managed to make it through the streaming, but that's how it works. So each it's a 2-channel system, right? One shows up as left, one shows up as right. I don't know which is which, and and then the output of the little box that you plug into the computer or whatever. it comes out in stereo. So that's why it's so easy to have 2 mics in one package and so difficult to have 3. All right, the sound of the video is amazing right now. Good job, Ryan. Hashtag good job, Ryan.
Good job, Scott, too.
Nah. He did a good job, but we don't need that in the hashtag. So everybody hashtag it. So as I said, we are totally live here. Anyone have any questions, you can ask me and I will make Ryan answer them. So had some problem with echoes. I think you'll notice we threw up, and I don't know if this is temporary or if this is the final solution. We have, a giant blanket now hanging behind the monitor, right? So in front of me, right behind the camera, there's now just a big blanket hanging from the ceiling, and that has vastly improved our audio. Bana says it is temporary. All right, then it is temporary.
Yeah, we're gonna get foam panels to put on the walls instead.
Only a very slight echo in the audio right now. Carpeting. The room has 4 18-inch panels of carpeting. So there's a 3 foot by 3 foot section directly underneath me, which is carpeted, and the rest is like, the vinyl fake hardwood. So it probably is reflecting. We probably should finish up and do the entire floor and carpeting for audio reasons. So I agree. We will do that. Unless the very little bit of echo makes it acoustically interesting. But you guys tell me. All right. Other tips and tricks. Cover all your cables so you don't trip on them.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Yeah. So we actually designed this room so we have we have power outlets in the ceiling above my head for lights and things plugged in, as well as ones on the walls and Ethernet jacks. Although right now, although we have a nice Ethernet jack, it just goes to a wire dangling out of the other side of the wall. So project for tomorrow, electrician coming by to finish it. So when we're doing a mobile broadcast, on the iPhone, there are a couple apps we use. This is worth talking about. One, we generally use Larix Broadcast to capture the video and do the RTMP stream up to the cloud, whichever software we're using. It's pretty good. Trouble is, it's one way. It streams RTMP. I cannot see your comments or whatever. And I don't hear audio back. But the stuff StreamYard and Restream tell you to use their web app, which is delightful on a PC or a Mac. But on mobile, it's just terrible. You get 480p video out of a 4K camera somehow. So do not try to use those, right? So we're using Larix Broadcaster. We're using the DJI MIMO app. DJI, the gimbal comes with an app to help you configure it. And it has all sorts of neat features if you use it to record a video. But of course we don't, there are hardware switches on the DJI Osmo for Zoom and stuff. And if you're in their app, it works. But if you're in any other app, those switches don't work. So that's kind of a pain.
He's talking about
it's possible.
I think it's a browser thing.
But I think it's just, Apple forces you to use Safari, and I have a suspicion that they make sure that WebRTC works not quite as well as it does in a mobile app. So you'll make a mobile app. And then finally, of course, we have Speedify on the phone, and that's the thing that's running in the background. That it's using the Wi-Fi and it's using the cellular, and those are the 3 apps we use during a live stream. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, and as I said before, second phone with a mobile hotspot that we use to get the second cellular connection when we're not in an office. All right. We talked about the lights. We talked about the Mac Mini. What else? Do you guys out there have any questions? Where is it? 150 of you watching. Wow. So Ryan, how did you learn about video stuff?
Practice.
Yeah.
Learn by doing.
Yeah, pull up a chair. All right. So again, we're trying out different stool types. This crazy stool, which I think we're going to reject here, has a rounded bottom. I guess you guys can't really see it, but I am dangerously mobile on the stool, which I guess is supposed to make it seem more natural, like you're standing. But I think it's just probably better that I actually stand and not someday miss the stool,
Break your ankle.
break my tailbone on yeah. Thing won't be the ankle this time. Done enough breaking my ankle. All right.
Got a new question.
Got a new question.
It's a great question, Scotty Two Cats. We have the light mounted onto the Osmo with this Ulanzi triple cold shoes adapter.
Nice.
And
right. So it screws onto the 1/4-inch tripod mount, what I think of, and also offers another one on the bottom, so you can just keep stacking things, right? So you can actually use this, on top of any tripod, underneath any camera. It's not, the standard mounting system for cameras. Yeah, and then all sorts of things can clip onto it, including the Rode mics. So that's a useful thing for anyone, mobile or not. If you're using a tripod, lets you stick all sorts of things onto it. All right. Tech in the City from Honolulu says, we provide a lot of Verizon AT&T hotspots for video producers here in Hawaii. I've mentioned Speedify to every one of them. That's the answer. Thank you. We do appreciate you watching our streams and supporting us. Yeah, very cool. Looks like it gives a lot of flexibility. That's about this puppy, and it does.
Very modular.
Very modular. Other toys. So the only problem with the Mac Mini is we have already run out of ports. So I shouldn't touch it, but we've already got a USB hub hanging off it that we have the keyboard on. USB hubs give you a lot more expansion, but in general, you'd start fearing latency and bandwidth and things dropping and reliability. So we've got the keyboard on it, not high bandwidth. I would avoid putting a camera, a microphone, anything like that off any kind of hub. You want that going right into the computer. Hubs are bad, but for stuff, the mice, the trackpads,
We've got the Mac trackpad and
the Magic trackpad.
Magic trackpad and the Magic keyboard.
Not sure what's magic about it.
Yeah. It's just a keyboard.
Seems pretty well built. All right. All right. We're still answering questions here. All right. Scotty Two Cats asks, what are the colored LEDs you're using in the studio?
We touched on this earlier, but they are the Gowee H6076
Lightsabers.
Wireless lightsaber floor lamps. And they're programmable through an app, through the Gowee Home app. You can You can set gradients or color schemes or even
Can you
color
show? Can you
changing
show them
modes.
the app? I mean, I think we're.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's show them the app. It's I've actually not used it yet. I just shout at Ryan, and he makes the lights do stuff. If you haven't figured out yet, he is the brains of the operation. I'm just the pretty face.
So this is the app here. Gowee Home. And there's lots of settings, including sound controlled settings. Like
Sound controlled? I see. Well, it's probably distracting if you're not at a dance party. So yeah, so those are fun toys. I feel like they've really enhanced the background. And that was Doc Rock at Ecamm, by the way, who, we had him on. He was like, decent setup, but you need LEDs behind you. You need a blue light that slowly shifts color. And Doc Rock.
Right.
Doc Rock, ladies and gentlemen, right again, which is one of the least surprising things. He knows stuff.
Look at the CalDigit TS3 Plus.
All right, we will look at the CalDigit TS3 Plus.
Is that a light?
Yeah, tell us more about the CalDigit TS3 Plus. Yeah, Doc Rock there. His URL. Check him out on Twitter. Yeah. He gives great advice about how to improve your live streaming. No real connection to him. Just a good guy. All right. So our next stream is next Tuesday, and we are going to have a legendary Australian storm chaser. Actually, I think that during tornado season, Daniel Shaw, he actually spends he spends tornado season in Texas and stuff, so he can catch the very craziest storms. He is a really interesting guy, and he's going to be here, and he's going to explain how he uses Speedify with multiple cell phones so he can capture video while he's driving straight into the tornado. I got an opportunity to talk to him on the phone for a customer support issue, and I said, holy cow, we need you on the show. So we're going to have him on the show because he's a Speedify user who's doing absolutely crazy things with this technology. All right. Tech in the City has an explanation on the TS3 Plus, an ideal solution for Thunder. It's an expansion device, not a light. Okay. Right. We were looking at some of those. All right. So we'll look at the TS3 Plus. Yeah. So if you hook up, the Macs have these Thunderbolt ports that apparently let you connect hubs that are much better than the other hubs. So TS3 Plus, we will check it out.
Yeah,
give
thanks.
it a try. Yeah, thank you. Piece of gear we're still looking for here. Description was copied from the website, which is pretty much how I do everything. All right. Yeah, so we definitely need a better expansion solution, and I assume that'll give us more ports for additional monitors and things, because right now the only monitors facing the presenter, we probably want another one going the other way. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm really happy with the Mac Mini. It's M1 processor. So,
great performance.
Yeah. So none of those. I assume that if some program went a little nuts the way it did on my Windows laptop, I think you wouldn't notice, right? I think you could have one core go to 100% for the length of your stream, and just nothing would go wrong.
And Camo is great. The Camo app.
Yeah. Can we screen share it?
Yeah,
why don't we screen share it? That's right. We can do that. Add source.
No,
Local video. No, screen share. There we go. Choose a window. And Camo Studio. Unable to share because it needs permission.
We haven't given the Mac permission yet to screen share. It's too new.
Okay. Huh. Shouldn't it be
Next
asking
time.
us for permission somewhere?
Yeah, you would think so.
All right. All right. Cool. More questions. We are alive. Keep them coming. We're sitting in our new studio. Yeah, the camera is just an iPhone 12 on the Camo app, hooked up to a Mac Mini. Today we're using Restream Studio. We like Restream Studio. It's working well for us, but we're pretty agnostic. I think now that we're back on a Mac, you're going to see us using a bunch of Ecamm. I mean, that really is the best streaming app for Macs.
Mm-hmm.
OBS, we use some OBS.
Streamlabs OBS too.
And Streamlabs OBS. I mean, those guys are really all those three apps are, you know, native apps, right? So they're the best if the cameras you're using are connected to your computer. You know, choosing among multiple cameras and different layouts and different effects and things. You know, those native apps are fantastic. You know, the other family of apps are the web-based, the cloud-based systems, right? So Restream Studio, StreamYards, Melon app. And those are good when you're dealing with remote guests, which we usually are. And today we're not, so we actually probably should have used Ecamm or something.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example of one with remote guests.
We kind of had a remote guest with the IRLs.
Yeah. Well, that's how we implemented it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the phone was calling into the cloud and the Mac was calling into the cloud. I think with any of those native apps, you could have had the phone calling into the Mac and done all the same things. Does the cable between the Rode mic receiver affect the Osmo?
It can.
You have to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
First time we used them together, we had a problem.
Mm-hmm. Part of why we got this thing, this mount, was so we could hold up the cable and the Rode mic base to keep it from weighing down the phone.
Which is to say that the cable itself is fine. But if that base station, and it's a tiny thing, it's the same size as one of the mics, if this ends out hanging off the arm, that's too much. And the whole video tilts and it ends out deciding that maybe you want the camera in the other way and it starts flipping out. Yeah, so you can't have this much weight. It's not much hanging off the camera, which is the same reason that this wireless battery pack I was so excited about turns out to be sort of useless with the Osmo. Yeah, so cable's okay. But the base unit is not. Without combining connections, how fast have you seen speed increase when it comes to adding Speedify? So, complicated question, but I will answer it anyway. So if you are on a perfectly fast internet connection with no latency problems and no jitter and no dropped packets, then Speedify will actually slow you down 30%. Sorry. Some people get obsessed about that number. But if you're on an internet connection, which is actually, say edge range or Wi-Fi, dropping 5% of the packets, then the same Speedify will suddenly double your speeds. And yeah, because what happens is, so there's a certain amount of overhead, right? So Speedify adds a little bit of data to the front of every one of your packets with timing and stuff. And so that makes your packet 3% bigger and slows it down. But it also means that Speedify knows everything about your internet connection. So the second your internet connection drops some packets, I mean, a second is a long time, Speedify. Actually, it's a couple milliseconds after packets get dropped. Speedify knows about it and can resend those packets so they get through. You know, any video app will take hundreds of milliseconds to notice they're gone. And so the whole thing slows down if you don't have Speedify. So there are lots of situations where if you have a really slow DNS server, we'll use our DNS server instead, which is, you know, guaranteed to be fast. If you have, you know, packet loss, we'll do a lot to correct it. And yeah. So by the way, thank you, Mr. Urban World. You are far and away one of our, you know, the best questions we ever get are usually from you. And you show up every broadcast, and we really do appreciate you. I probably
and Tech in the City.
Yeah, Tech in the City. That's a yeah. You guys are awesome. All right. That makes perfect sense and something I want to test out. All right. Taymok, I have questions. Taymok, ask your questions. We're here. Just post them in the comments. We see. Ask away. All right. Tech in the City. Speaking of, Speedify is more about reliability than top speed. I find that maintains an adequate amount necessary to have a stable stream. Yeah. It occurs to us that Speedify isn't the right name for Speedify, but like reliabilify, you know, we can't come up with a better name. We're done. The name is the name. Yeah. The truth is, when you are streaming, the top speed doesn't matter, really, right? It's the worst speed you get during the stream is what matters. So avoiding dead spots and stuff is worth far more, right? I mean, you know, 50 megabits lets you do 4K video, 5K video, maybe even. You know, 100 megabits, 150 megabits, you know, a gigabit. They're not really actually any better when you're live streaming. But 1 megabit is awful, you know. A gap of 10 seconds with no internet connectivity. End of the world. So that's far more important. And that's what we put in a long time ago, the speed test in the app that tells you how fast your internet is. But sometime last year, I think, we added the streaming test, which tells you what resolution video you can expect, right? And that test never actually tries to send more than 50 megabits because none of these streaming apps sends more than 50 megabits. It doesn't matter. All right. Mr. Urban World, I'm creating a gaming theater in VR, and Speedify will be used in real time, if that makes sense. A theater in VR. Okay. Doing interesting stuff.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome. I want to see pictures and stuff. All right. Got more questions that coming now. Keep asking these. My closest connecting server is either Singapore or Thailand. They are not close. Where are you? Can you not looking for your address, but your country? Nat, we would love to help. You know, we have tons of servers all over North America, all over Europe. We have a moderate number of servers across Asia. We have some in South America. Singapore isn't close to you? Okay. You know, shoot an email to support, you know, with some logs. In the app, generate logs. I'd like to see what the latencies and stuff are. I would think that Singapore would probably give you good performance. A really weird thing. India. We have servers in multiple locations in India. But for a lot of people in India, the closest server is Singapore. Almost seems like, you know, I don't know what the story is. It seems like there are a couple different networks in India. It's not one internet there. And it seems like they might actually join up out in Singapore. But I think we've added servers enough locations there that I think we probably have a server closer than Singapore for anyone. All right. There will be video. Oh, which one? Unfortunately, Speedify does nothing for my spelling. Mine either. I'm getting worse at typing. The more I use Slack, the more terrible my writing has become.
We need Spellify next.
Spellify, yes. All right. There will be videos on a more professional channel. Cool. Yeah. If there's any way you could share them, we would love to see them.
Send them to our Twitter.
Yeah, I don't think we have servers in Hawaii. Yeah, I think Hawaii is for the most part connecting to California. We have servers in a bunch of locations. California. I mean, I think the truth is for most people in Hawaii, they're probably the web services they're actually using are probably actually in California anyway. There's sort of no loss to it not being right there. Although I think a few people like, big providers might have content delivery network stuff there. So some images and stuff are closer. But like you said, it works pretty well. You can go pretty far and still be good. I remember when Speedify was called Connectify. So the company is named Connectify. And our first product was Connectify, which was a Wi-Fi hotspot. And then when we came up with Switchboard, which was the original name for Speedify, we renamed Connectify, the app, to Connectify Hotspot. And then after a little while, we decided that Switchboard, for whatever reason, probably didn't make sense, and we renamed it Speedify. And then those nice guys down the street from us started their video RTMP service, and they named it Switchboard, and then we had them as guests on here. And so I think I'm done. I'm not letting anyone rename anything else because it just we keep renaming it to make it less confusing for people. And all it does is add layers of confusion. I don't think names are that important. After all, Flickr was a success. A misspelled word for movies was a website for doing photographs, not movies. And so I don't think names are very important. We're sticking with Speedify. So that's the story on the names. Very good. Yeah, so we are still live. We'll willing to go 10 more minutes if you guys have more questions. Otherwise, like I said, Tuesday, Daniel Shaw, Storm Chaser. This guy has crazy stories and hopefully crazy videos to share. He literally drives into tornadoes, filming, streaming across Speedify. If you watch those crazy videos on the local news, that's how he makes a living, right? He does these videos and sells them to local news so they can show the tornado upstairs. Can I white label Speedify app? Would like to integrate Speedify with my own made encoder. Email us at support@speedify.com. The first white labeled Speedify app is going to be launching really, really soon. So there's some possibilities. That said, it's a pretty big effort to work together to build a white labeled app. So, let's talk about it. It's not impossible, but yeah, rename it to Streamify for the streaming product, and here Speedify be reconfigured for true bandwidth aggregation. Yeah, Streamify. That's not bad. Given a time machine, that would be the name. Yeah, maybe we should, if we haven't yet, maybe we should file a trademark on that now. Thank you. All right. We'll check why we're really good about answering on support, so I'm not sure why anyone would have not heard back. It's where people are watching the stream, so they will jump on it. What does that mean?
Question.
Oh, all right. Tamosh, we're waiting for your question anxiously. I use the app on mobile data. How do I get the best performance? Thank you, Week in English. You're doing great. Okay, so Speedify has a sense of cost awareness. In the app, on each connection, there's a priority. Most connections show up as always. Connections that Speedify spots as cellular are secondary. If a connection is really expensive, you can go in and change it to backup. So what these mean is always means go ahead, the connection is free, use it all you want. So that's what it defaults to Wi-Fi and Ethernet being. Secondary means go ahead and use it if you think it would give a useful speed boost, or if it would save us from going offline. So, if you're only doing 10 megabits worth of stuff and it fits on the Wi-Fi, we just put it on the Wi-Fi. But if the Wi-Fi is only giving you 5 megabits, we'll go ahead and kick in the cellular and bond across both of them to give you the speed you need. So the first thing you do is you can make sure that your cellular, if it's a dongle or something, some kind of plugged in USB thing, we might or might not recognize it as cellular. So if we don't, you can change it to secondary, and that'll help. You'll still get the speed boost when you need it. There it is, primary, right? You change it to secondary if it's cellular. There are some other settings. There are right underneath that, there are data caps. So you can go ahead and do things like say, only let the cellular use 200 megabytes a day at full speed. And then after that, either don't use it or drop to a lower speed. You can say, let it go at full speed for 100 megabytes. And then after that, drop it down to only 1 megabyte so we don't go crazy. And you can put a monthly cap on. You can even put a rate limit on to say never use more than 2 megabits of cellular. Only thing I use that for, and I think the only thing people really use that for, is when they are traveling internationally. When I travel to Europe, AT&T's data rates are so high that I'll set the cellular down to like 2 megabits, so I can't accidentally use a lot of data. And I'll cap myself at 100 megabytes and tell it to stop me and cut me off if I hit it. Because I'm a cheapskate, right? I pay something for the mobile data package, but it's so expensive, I want to make sure I don't run out. And that's that. So there are a couple settings there. You can play with them. Secondary, make sure it uses less than always. All right, Tamok, what is the best server in North Africa? I think there's a very good chance that the best server in North Africa is really somewhere in Southern Europe. If you connect to the closest server, which is the default, Speedify will actually try 5 locations that appear to be close to you and see which one works best. Just, spends about 3 seconds. It'll connect to 5 servers in different locations at the same time. Try them all for about 5 seconds, checking latency and loss and how busy the server says it is, and pick one of the servers. So in general, it will find it.
What's the difference between selecting the closest server and the fastest server?
I think that's only there for people. You have closest and fastest. I thought there. Oh no, you have closest public server, right?
Oh,
so another option for the power user is a dedicated server. So we have hundreds and hundreds of servers around the world, and they're generally not that busy. But if you want to really push it, if you want to know that there's a dedicated gigabit in the cloud that we'll let you use, or if there's security stuff, so some enterprises come to us and say, we only allow connections from, our employees' home IP addresses for security reasons. They can rent a dedicated server from us. We can tell them the IP address, and they'll know that anyone coming through that IP address must have been one of their users. I know the whole zero trust philosophy on security, which is correct, says that is not sufficient, not a great way to do security. But it's just one more layer. We'll assume they're doing other smart things. So anyway, if you get a dedicated server, a bunch more options appear in the server selection. You can choose your dedicated server. You can, choose to not use your dedicated server. And so that's what Ryan was asking about. He's got access to the company dedicated servers, so he has an awful lot of choices. He can pick public servers and things. All right. I set up one of my enterprise commercial unlimited data hotspots as the primary and sent the internal LTE in the phone as the secondary. Seemed to work fine. Yeah, it would work fine. Although, of course, it will, on that unlimited data hotspot, it will kind of treat the way it normally treats Wi-Fi. It'll use it all it wants. But you said unlimited data, so it should be fine. So yeah, go ahead and use all you want. And the internal one that I guess may have some limits, you set that to secondary and you won't use it as much. Yeah. All right. All right. Running on a Pi 4 as a Raspberry Pi, one of those little Linux computers with two ELAN WLAN 0. So, okay. So, and WLAN 1 and a USB modem dongle. So he's got this little Linux computer with like 4 internet connections off it. I also share using ETH0, which is the built-in Ethernet port. So he's got, hanging off the USB, a whole bunch of internet connections, and he's using the Wi-Fi card to join different connections, and he's sharing over the Ethernet. How do I share? So we give you, when you run on Linux, we give you scripts that let you turn your Raspberry Pi or your Ubuntu laptop into either a Wi-Fi or an Ethernet router. And he is asking, why don't our scripts let you turn into a Wi-Fi and an Ethernet router? Kevin, if you're watching, that's a feature request. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's a deep reason. That is the way it works today. Right now, that configuration script takes, one port as the one to share over, and that's the one it shares over. So I don't think there's a deep technical reason. I think somebody just said it needs to do some work there. So we will get that on the feature request. You can also, of course, plug over the Ethernet, over the Ethernet to a real router that has both Ethernet ports and Wi-Fi. In that case, those, the Wi-Fi on the Raspberry Pi is not that powerful, right? If you want a good Wi-Fi network, you might be better running Ethernet to a real router with antennas you can see. Those are antennas. For those who are wondering why I'm doing this, I'm picturing antennas. All right. Boop. All right. Albert says, thanks for sharing. I'm learning more and more about your service community. Keep it up. My first experience with you was last week with Alec Johnson. I'm interested. Good. Give us a try if you haven't yet. Yeah, we got to make Alec Johnson do some tutorial videos. He does fantastic videos about how to use different software like Ecamm and Zoom. And we should probably make him make a series of Speedify videos. All right. Oops. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. North Africa, I would just run Connect Closest. Mm-hmm. And Speedify will figure something out for you. I have a feeling that I have a vague sense that we have a lot of people in North Africa connecting to our Italian servers. I think there's a lot of some of the stuff is funny, right? That you would think that a server in North Africa would be closer to a person in North Africa, and we've had servers in North Africa before, and it turns out it's not true, right? Because Europe has such better internet that they run fiber optic down across the Mediterranean. And so, somebody in Libya is probably closer to Greece than they are to Egypt. You know what I mean? It's going up and back is much, much closer. So hopefully that is helpful. Sorry, supposed to read WLAN, not ELAN. Right. I didn't know what ELAN meant, but I guessed. See, a bunch of internet connections, Wi-Fi and Ethernet. And you're trying to share over the Wi-Fi and the Ethernet. And we give you a series of scripts that let you share over whichever one you want. I think it's just more code to support both at once. I don't think there's a deep reason we don't do that. We were just happy to get one working. Ship it. Move on. Sprint over. Everyone go home. All right. We are at 6:01. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tour of our studio, the tour of the office, the checking out the gear we use for mobile live streaming. I think that worked pretty well on all those Christmas light streams. We got a lot of compliments on our video quality, so I thought it was worth sharing.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you're watching right now, so you don't miss the next stream.
Everything's free here. We're not people who charge for streams or whatever. We just do this because we love you guys. So whichever channel you're watching on, follow or subscribe or whatever. We're not charging any money. It's just a free thing, and you'll hear when we go live next time. And next time is Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern, so same time but Tuesday, and we are doing Storm Chasers. All right, in Honolulu, it is 1 p.m. lunchtime. So have a good lunch, everybody in Hawaii. Eat for me. Not that I need more food, as you can see. All right, thank you, everybody. Good night. Stream on.